Hello friends, welcome to C# Intermediate to Advanced tutorial. Now we reached the final part of the subseries background worker component. So in this video we are going to implement our background worker component, and we are going to handle do work, process changed, and run worker completed events. If you remember, in our previous video we already have dummy handler code for these three events. Now we will place a meaningful code inside these event handlers. These are all the video decks from previous parts. So in the last video we saw the importance of DoEvents. We kept DoEvents here in the application loop, which will run when the check mark is not placed here. So just to recap, there are three events: do work, progress changed, run worker completed. These three events are supported by the background worker component. Do work handler runs on separate thread. Let's say so this is the do work handler, and it will be running in a background thread like this, do work. We know that do work event is fired by the run worker async. So this run worker async will be in the main thread. And from this main thread, using the run worker async, somewhere in the code, we call run worker async that fires do event, and you will land up into the handler that will be running in a separate thread. One cannot access UI components from this DoWork handler, which is in thread other than UI thread. So DoWork handler is running in the separate thread, right? This is a BCK thread, background thread, and this one will be the main thread. From this background thread, you cannot access this UI component, because these are all the UI component we want to access from DoWork, right? We want to update the progress bar, and we want to update the count meter. So we can't do that. Why? Because the background thread or DoWork handler is not the owner of these UI components. Progress changed and run worker completed event handler will run on the main UI thread. Remember, these are all the event handler. Who will raise those event? Two will be raised by the background thread. This one also will get raised by the background thread. So it won't directly reach here. There will be the application message queue. Now you are aware of how the application the application maintains the event queue. It will get delivered and it will be processed one by one on the main thread UI or on the main thread. So since this progress changed handler as well as run worker completed both runs in the main thread. From here, you can easily access the UI components. These UI components you can access. So since it cannot directly access the main UI component, main UI means the main thread or the form user interface elements, it raises these two events, run worker completed and progress changed. Then those events will reach to the application. From application queue, it will get dispatched to the event handler. Those are all running in the main thread context. So from here you can update the progress. So if you see here what happened, like in DoEvents, when we move the mouse in the sense when we try to move the window by moving the mouse, the main task hangs, and once the move operation is completed, then only the long running task resumes. So you saw intermittently the long running task is hangs and resumes based on how busy the events in the main thread is, or how much queue events are there. So if there are queue events keep on coming in and the system is busy in clearing these queue events, then DoWork won't, not to DoWork, the long running task hangs in our previous case. Now we moved that long running task to separate thread. So here, whatever event you produced, that will get cleared. Why? Because there is no long running task here. All are the events, and that will get cleared in fraction of second. Now, if this is your window, and if you move this window, and if it produces multiple events, all will get cleared, and it will not disturb this way because this is running in the background and in a separate thread. The main UI thread is never ever get disturbed. So that way you can move your window and at the same time you can see the content get updated. So that's the advantage of the background worker component. So this task will not get disturbed, and at the same time main UI thread also will be doing its task without any disturbance. They both are running in parallel. Using the progress changed, we can update the progress bar that you will see soon. So we can use, so this progress change is meant for only this progress bar update to show how much of the long running task or background worker thread task is completed. But here we are using the same event to update the count meter. Since here we are in the to progress change, since we are in the main UI thread, we can touch any UI elements. So we use a progress update and we update our count meter as well. And remember here, in case of a background worker, we perform a read operation on the count meter, and here we perform the write operation. So I do not want to confuse with thread safety and all, but since here it is read and write, our application will work most of this time, 96-97% of time. This is just for demo and learning purpose. We are not ending up into the synchronization object, all those stuff. All right, let's proceed with the coding. So BCK thread is our background worker thread component. DoWork is the event, and these together tells you that this is the event handler. And if you see, these contents are just like what we did in the previous parts. So previously we have a function, right? So the same piece of code we are running here, but this time the long running task is in the DoWork event handler, and this one is just to get the length of the text. You already know this because we previously used it. Then we are getting the length of the here we are getting the length. Then we are converting the str content to character array. Then we are iterating it, the same piece of code. Now this is the first change you are seeing. BCK thread cancellation pending equal to true e.cancel is DoWork event arguments. Here we are saying e.cancel equal to true and returning from the function. So this cancellation pending equal to true, right? This will be set when we make a specific call to the specific call, in the sense on the background thread we have to make a call to cancel async. So when we go to the code, you will know. So we used this in the cancel button click event handler. So when e.cancel, when cancellation pending is true, once you make a call to this one, the property will be set to true. So this method also will get called from the same background worker component. And when cancellation pending is true, this is the event handler, right? We set e.cancel equal to true. This will cancel the task. All right, if cancellation is not done, what we are doing, we make a call to check vowel A, check vowel E, check vowel. So this function, we already used this function in our previous videos, and this part also so there is no changes here. We just moved the same stuff but inside the DoWork event handler. And if you see the progress changed event handler, here it receives progress changed event args E. That means here we are calculating the progress value just like what we did in the previous videos. This is a check, and previously we directly updated the progress value. We accessed the progress bar component. Why? Because in the previous case we used the DoEvents and we used the single thread. There is no background thread, and we directly accessed the UI component, and we saw what is the demerits of it. When we moved the window, the long running task waits for the event get cleared from the message queue or application event queue. Alright, now we will come back here. Here we are making call to report progress, and we send a parameter progress value. So what happens is this report progress will raise an event progress changed. So this is the method, and it will raise progress changed event. We already saw this in our previous part when we learned about the background worker component. We learned properties and events, right? During that time itself, we talked about when will this event get fired. So it will get fired when report progress function is called on the background worker component. So in this event handler, this is the progress changed event, right? And this progress percentage, which is nothing but whatever you are reporting here, that you will get here. But this we updated from the background worker component, and I mean in the background thread, and here in the main thread we are receiving the same value. So this is the progress percentage, and if you see progress bar dot value, we are setting this e dot progress percentage. Whatever we are reporting here, that we are setting it here. After that, we are also writing this is the count, right, to string. So this we are setting it to the text component. When we go to the code, that time you will see it. So how we are using the count update in the function. Finally, run worker completed. Here what we are doing, we say e.cancelled equal to true. Run worker completed event arc. And if e.cancelled equal to true, we are updating our main UI with cancelled. Otherwise, we state completed. So you will get this message when user clicks the cancel button. When user clicks the cancel button, it will go to the cancel event routine, and in the cancel event routine, we are making call to cancel async, and cancel async will arise this event run worker completed. Why? Because here it is cancelled, right? And we get e.cancelled equal to true, and we set the status text to cancelled. Otherwise, we state completed. That's all we have to learn here. So only one stuff. This is DoWork. Yeah. Say this is do. Maybe we already used. Okay. C. This event handler. D. E. This is background. C will run here. This event handler, and in the main thread, event handler D and event handler E will run. Alright, now we will go to the code implementation. So these are all our dummy event handler, right? We will copy this. We will place those towards the end. So you can download the code from video description. So these are all equivalent to what we did previously with the do without bkgrt. I should have used a simple function name. Okay, so these are all the same code. If you see here what we are doing, the same stuff we are doing here. Then we are getting the content length. Okay, so this cancellation pending we already discussed in the slide. Basic thread cancellation pending equal to true, and if you look at the cancel operation here, we are making call to cancel async, right? And we are doing this only when chk use background check state is in checked state. So the call cancel async will set this property, cancellation pending property, to true. So in that case, we take this event arc, do work event arc, and we access its cancel property and we set it to true. This way, we cancel the long running task from the background thread and we return from the do work event handler. So if cancel operation is not asked by the user, then we won't land up inside. And here if you see, we do check the vowels a, e, I, o, u. Let's revisit this check vowel a, e, I, o, u. Okay, this is check vowel a, e, I, o, u. We will just look at one function. If you see, if background worker component is not used, we are directly updating the component, I mean the UI component. But if it is a background worker in the sense chk use background worker checkbox check state is true, here we are checking not out, not equal to. So if it is true, then we are just incrementing the counter variables which we declared here. For all the functions in the else portion, we have written the code for a background worker component. So now we are using that. So this check vowel count will update those member variables. Then this is for the progress bar, and okay, this is not background worker is here. So we are updating the vowel count here. Then this is for progress bar. Instead of directly updating the progress bar, here we make call to report progress and we send the progress value. And this is the standard sleep which we used in our previous course snippet as well. Alright, now we will go ahead and implement other two events. So if you see the report progress is get called inside the for loop. That means for each character that get processed, we ask to or we report the progress. So the progress value will increment based on the number of characters processed. If number of characters is 100 for each iteration, we send a progress value 1, 2, 3 like that. But if it is 1000 character, for first 10 iteration we send a progress value as 1, and on 11th iteration we send a progress value as 2. That means 1% completed or 2% completed like that. Alright, so now you know that the report progress will get called on each iteration, and the report progress will raise progress changed event that will be handled here. And this code snippet 10 will run on the main UI thread. So we take whatever is reported here, this prog_val, that we get it here from the E is progress changed event talks dot progress percentage. Here we are reporting progress percentage and we are retrieving it here. Then we are updating that to the progress bar. After that, we are updating our count meter as well. So these count meters are updated when we make a call to these functions. And we already saw in the else portion, we are updating the counter variables. And as already explained in the slide, here we are setting the status cancelled or completed based on the cancel event talks. run worker completed event talks. So when this get cancelled, that means e dot cancelled equal to true, then we say cancelled, otherwise we say completed. All right, now we will run our sample. So this time we will use background worker, and you can see this get disabled. And now I'm clicking start count. You can see the progress bar as well as the count meter is getting updated. And you see completed. To be in sync with our previous, we can keep vowels counted or something like that. That's what we previously used. Vowels counted. That's also we can keep here. Now we will place a check mark here, and we will ask for start count, and in between we will click on the cancel, and you will see the vowel counting task is cancelled. Now I started it again, and if you see here, now I am moving my window, so the window move also happening, and at the same time you can see progress get updated and vowel counts also get updated. Let me do this once again. You see there is no hang on the background task. I can even scroll here. You can resize. It still says vowel counted. Those are all required some correction. But anyhow, this made you understand how the background worker component is not disturbing our UI events. You can see how the move is happening, as well as here I am moving the multi-line text also. All right, this concludes our sub-series. Thank you for watching. Bye.